What is up, guys, and welcome back to the F1 2017 Career Mode for Season 2, Round 8. It is, of course, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in Baku. And now, if you have missed any of the previous episodes, go catch up with the card annotation in the top right-hand corner of your screens. And you will also find a link in the description below if you are new around here and if you have missed any of the previous episodes. And of course, if you are new around here, welcome to the channel, and also don't forget to go hit that subscribe button. But like I say, we're here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, round 8 of season 2, and are just running through the practice sessions at the moment. So we've done the track acclimatization, but unfortunately it started raining in FP2 here. We managed to get the low tire wear, their purple score in that test. Now going through the fuel management as well, purple score on that one. I believe it is supposed to be raining in the race, hence the reason why we are doing all of these tests in the wet conditions, doing the race strategy program as well. Purple score on that one, so it looks like we could be on for a very nice race indeed. And looking at the position, unfortunately at the end of the session we do finish down in P16, but it did dry out throughout the rest of the session, so that's probably why we were lower down the field. But it was very close amongst some of the other drivers, and there we are now doing the qualifying run test, and that was actually pretty quick. A P8 at the end of FP3, so very happy with that result indeed. A little reminder for you guys, we're taking quite a lot of penalties going into today's race. Azerbaijan is a very quick circuit, so it's quite easy to make a few overtakes. We are completely redoing the whole engine on our car. So we're adding a fifth element of engine because we will need it at the end of the season. So we're deciding to take that now because this is a really good chance for us to make overtakes in today's race. So unfortunately, qualifying doesn't really matter too much as we will be starting towards the back of the grid anyway. But without any further ado, let's see what we can do in the qualifying session.
The circuit has rubbed in with practice, but this is still going to be a difficult session for our drivers as they fight for pole position. Welcome to qualifying here in Azerbaijan.
Here we go then, qualifying time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And like I said in the practice run, we are taking quite a lot of penalties going into today's race. It does mean that we are going to have a lot of fun in the race, making lots of overtakes. And it does also mean that this qualifying session is kind of a little bit irrelevant. But nevertheless, we're going to see what we can do because we want to get as many resource points as we possibly can in this qualifying session to help us upgrade the car in future races. So here we are in the qualifying session, coming down towards the line now to end our first lap here in Azerbaijan, and it is a 1:44.347. Not the best of laps, 3 whole seconds slower than Lewis Hamilton at the moment. So it's definitely time for improvement amongst the rest of this qualifying session. But there we go, setting a big time improvement there, 1.1 seconds, getting out of the way of another driver, and that pushes us up into P7, just ahead of Kevin Magnussen. Then we move towards the end of the session, and we are currently running in P12, but 4 tenths quicker at the end of that lap. And whereabouts does that put us at the end of Q1 in P7? So really good qualifying session there, and that gets us into the top 15 and also into Q2. So we're very happy with that, beating my teammate of Nico Hulkenberg as well. So just sort of asserting my dominance against my teammate, but only beating him by less than 2 tenths of a second. Well, about 2 tenths of a second at the end of the day. Now, first lap here in Q2. What's lap time going to be? 1:42.7. We know we could probably do a little bit better than that, although I think that actually might have been exactly the same lap time that we did in Q1. So that's pretty surprising, but it did get us through into Q3. That time just about managed to scrape us through into the top 10 shootout, so a good lap there. And now here we are for Q3, the top 10 shootout. Whereabouts are we going to qualify in the Azerbaijan qualifying session as we end our first lap there? That puts us at 1:42.713. Now through the fast left, then the right at the end of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix lap. Currently running in P10, but we are improving on this lap time. 2 tenths up on our previous best lap, down towards the line. What is the lap time gonna be at the end of the day? Will it improve us in this qualifying session coming across the line? It does improve by 2 tenths of a second, but whereabouts is that? It's P9. P9 at the end of the day. We do manage to move up 1 position, but unfortunately that does mean that we will be starting today's race right down at the back of the field. So a little bit disappointing that we do have to do that, but it's the right decision at the end of the day. We are going to need another engine by the end of the season. So if we take it now, then that gives us a good chance of sort of, you know, coming back at the end of this race. But that's it for the qualifying session. Qualifying in pole position for today is Lewis Hamilton with Valtteri Bottas just behind him in P2. Then Sebastian Vettel in 3rd and Kimi Räikkönen in 4th. There's the two Force India drivers beating the Red Bulls here today. Sergio Perez qualifies in P5 with Esteban Ocon in 6th. Then it's Daniel Ricciardo in 7th. Max Verstappen qualifies today's race just ahead of us in P8. He was actually 0.3 of a second quicker than us here today. Myself in 9th, and we managed to beat Carlos Sainz in this top 10 shootout as he qualifies in P10. So that's it for the qualifying session. What can we do from the back of the grid as we head over to the race for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix?
Joining me on this very wet day is a man who's no stranger to driving in miserable conditions. Anthony Davidson, you've driven open cockpit, you've driven sports cars. How does the wet weather experience change between the different disciplines?
Well, I wouldn't say there's much difference in all honesty. You know, besides the terrifying closing speeds you find in sports cars with the different categories all sharing the same track, driving in the rain is, well, driving in the rain. Of course, the biggest difference between the two is the closed cockpit versus the open cockpit. You get the luxury of staying dry in the sports car, but if your screen ever gets dirty, well, that's a pit stop, not just wiping your visor or pulling away a tear off. But most of the time, you know, they're both as miserable as each other, to be honest.
It's race day here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, but before we get into the race, let's have a look at the starting order for today. It's the Mercedes who lock out the front row with Lewis Hamilton in 1st and Valtteri Bottas in 2nd. Then it's followed by the two Ferraris of Sebastian Vettel in 3rd and Kimi Räikkönen in 4th. Then it's the two Force Indias who lock out row 3, Sergio Perez 5th, Esteban Ocon 6th, Max Verstappen 7th, and Carlos Sainz in 8th. Then it's Romain Grosjean 9th, and Danny Kvyat rounds out the top 10. Nico Hülkenberg qualified in 11th with Max Verstappen in 12th. Then it's Massa 13th, Wehrlein 14th, Fernando Alonso in 15th, Lance Stroll 16th, Daniel Ricciardo in 17th, moving down after a penalty, Stoffel Van Dorn 18th, then it's Marcus Ericsson in 19th, and myself right at the back of the field in P20 after a whole new engine penalty given to us for today. So starting today's race in P20, and just like we predicted in the practice sessions, it is going to be raining for today's race. So starting today on the intermediate tyres, and it's going to be raining throughout the whole entire race. There's no real change of strategy. We are going to go for, I think, the 2-stop strategy, or maybe the 1-stop. We'll just have to wait and see how the race develops. But here we go for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We go to 5 red lights. It's lights out, and away we go. It's a good start compared to the Sauber driver of Marcus Ericsson, but then losing the back end just a little bit as we go down in towards gear 4 and gear 5. But now up the inside in towards turn 1 on the McLaren of Stoffel Van Dorn on the left-hand side with Daniel Ricciardo just ahead of us. Maybe having a look up the inside of the Red Bull, maybe even the McLaren of Fernando Alonso as well, taking it nice and cautiously down in towards turn 2. He probably could have dived up the inside and maybe had a look on the Williams of Felipe Massa, but thought better of it. And now we're just going to sit back in the slipstream of Felipe Massa and just see what we can do. Maybe go around the outside, but taking it cautiously once again, braking early down in towards turn 3 and just sort of gaining a little bit on Felipe Massa, just waiting for any of these guys to make a mistake to give us a chance to dive it up the inside. Maybe have a look up the inside now in towards turn 4, side by side with Felipe Massa still. Now down towards turn 6 and 7, not quite able to get the job done on Felipe Massa. He holds on to P15, and now we go through this right hand. Just take it very cautiously, nice and slow at the moment. Again, quite a bit down on the fuel load, just sort of save fuel throughout the whole entire race, and that will stop us from spinning up the rear wheels. We have a little look there around the outside of Felipe Massa, but this is definitely single file all the way through the castle section. No chance of making an overtake through here. We're just going to have to wait till the next lap, because it's very difficult as well to overtake through this fast section of corners. We cut ahead now to the end of lap 2, still following behind the Williams driver of Felipe Massa into this quick section of corners through the left, then the right. This very quick sector 3 where you have to lift off through these corners, and then we're going to gain massively on Felipe Massa using that slipstream. He's going to gain on, I think it is the Haas driver ahead of him. We've got 2 guys ahead of us, including as well my teammate Nico Hülkenberg, so we may even go 4-way battle all the way down in towards turn 1. Here we go on Nico Hülkenberg, Kevin Magnussen and Felipe Massa around the outside down towards turn 1. We think better of it, braking early, but doing the switchback maneuver on all of those drivers. What a move That was on Nico Hülkenberg. He loses out now at the inside of Felipe Massa and Kevin Magnussen. Breaking courses 3 wide down in towards turn 2. The two of us get through nice and fine indeed. Not too sure about Kevin Magnussen. He loses out, and both myself and Felipe Massa gaining 2 positions in the space of what was 2 whole corners. So great overtaking opportunities from both myself and Felipe Massa. And we seize those opportunities, and we've moved up in, I think it is P13 for myself now. So very good overtaking there, but what a maneuver that was, all the way down in towards turn 1. 4 wide with Kevin Magnussen and Felipe Massa, and of course my teammate Nico Hülkenberg, who lost out in that battle the most. He was leading out the pack, and then unfortunately for him got put right to the back, and now on the back of, I believe this is Pascal Wehrlein in the other Sauber. So following in the slipstream all the way down in towards the final corner now on the left hand side of Pascal Wehrlein. It's going to be a fairly simple overtaking maneuver to get the job done. And there we go, moving up into P13 for the time being. Is there any drivers in the pits? I think there is one driver into the pits. It is Max Verstappen, I believe that was. So going down in towards turn 1, we now move up into P12. So slowly but surely, we are making up positions in this race. Felipe Massa not too far up the road, and then I believe there is quite a bit of a train of cars once more in this race that will give us an opportunity to go for the overtake. But now cutting it to lap 7, still following in the slipstream of this Williams of Felipe Massa, who's currently running in P11 at the moment. No more drivers into the pits, but right on the back of this Williams driver at the moment. So Felipe Massa, what can he do in terms of being defensive? Down in towards turn 2 at the moment. It's a good line for myself. Not a good line there from Felipe Massa. It looks like he just sort of went into the wall, running a little bit too deep through turn 2. And unfortunately for him, that's lost him at P11. We are right on the edge of points here today at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Despite starting right at the back of the field, thanks to those engine penalties, we have somehow managed to claw our way back up into P11 at the moment on lap 7 of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Now cutting ahead to the end of lap 7 and now going through the fast left, then right. The yellow flag has come out for some reason, so we are going to slow down just in case there's any major issues that could hold us up in today's race. I think it could just be a puncture for one of the other drivers possibly coming into the pits. Is this a driver putting off to the side of the road? It's a Force India driver. Yes, it is. It's Esteban Ocon, who is unfortunately out of today's race, and that falls perfectly into our hands. Of course, we are battling with the Force India drivers. We want to be the best of the rest in terms of this season and the Constructors' Championship, and it looks like that could be helping us on our way there, as we are definitely going to be ahead of Esteban Ocon in today's race. And that also moves us up into the points. We are in P10 at the moment for today's race. The virtual safety car was out momentarily there, but it didn't really give us too much of an advantage because everyone else was running at the same pace. And now cutting it to the end of lap 9 now, and we are gaining on the back of this Haas driver. I believe it is Roman Grosjean, because we've already got past Kevin Magnussen in today's race. So what can we do on the Haas driver of Roman Grosjean? Going through the final corner, following in this slipstream all the way down this long start-finish straight, all the way down in towards turn 1, gaining all the time on Roman Grosjean. He goes to the left-hand side. We're going to go round the outside, down in towards turn 1. It's side-by-side between myself and Roman Grosjean, braking very early, though, down towards turn 1, trying to go for the switchback maneuver like we did earlier on in the race when we went for a four-way battle. Then Roman Grosjean moves in front of us. A little bit dirty there from Roman Grosjean, once again trying that switchback maneuver, though, on the Haas drive. And here we go, foot down to the floor, putting up into Rich Mix, all the way down in towards turn 3. And there we go, job done on Roman Grosjean, moving up into P9. And hopefully that will mean that we can now start to put a little bit of pressure on the Williams driver of Lance Stroll to get even more points in today's race. 9 laps into today's race, and we're already up into P9 after starting right at the back of the field. So it has been a very, very good race for ourselves here today. Now on to lap 11, following behind the Williams driver of Lance Stroll. So what can we do against Lance Stroll here? So it's going to be time to come into the pits fairly soon, I should imagine. But I think we've still got another few laps under our belt left before we need to come into pits. About lap 13 is when we will need to come into pits for that one-stop strategy of these intermediate tyres. But here we are on the back of Lance Stroll, following in the slipstream. Of course, that Mercedes-powered Williams is very, very quick in a straight line, but using the slipstream, now putting over to maybe the right-hand side, which we do on the right-hand side of Lance Stroll, round the outside, down towards turn 1, very late on the brakes there, but giving Lance Stroll all the room up the inside through turn 1, side by side, down in towards turn 2 as well. Who's going to come out on top between the two of us? Once again, giving him loads of room through that corner. He swipes in front of us, and there he goes, holding on to this position for the time being. Unfortunately, losing the back end just a little bit there on the exit of turn 2 gives Lance Stroll a little bit of an advantage. Now down towards turn 3, under braking, possibly try around the outside into this corner. Can we do so against Lance Stroll? It's still side by side between the two of us in towards turn 4 now, and Lance Stroll is not giving up, and neither are we. We are holding on, and we want to get this position now side by side in towards the chicane of turns 5 and turn 6. We run it a little bit deep there. Can we get the job done? It's side by side, still a little bit of contact between the two of us, will to will action, and now Lance Stroll does get ahead of us down and towards the hairpin, but under braking still. I'm holding up the inside. I'm not giving up just yet. We're going side by side in towards the castle section, but finally Lance Stroll decides to back off there, and we have got the job done. Moving up into P8 for this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, but what a battle. What a battle that was between myself and Lance Stroll. It has unfortunately allowed the likes of Roman Grosjean, and I think that is Max Verstappen behind us, to close on the gap. But nevertheless, I've got the job done. I've moved up into P8, and now I'm overtaking a couple more drivers who have decided to come into the pits in today's race. So moving up into P6, okay, those drivers have made a pit stop. We've still got to make a pit stop in today's race, which we are doing right about now here on lap 15. So going quite a long way on these intermediate tyres, meaning that we only have to run about 11 laps left on these intermediate tyres till the end of the race. But still, it is time for a change of tyres. Time to go on to a new set of intermediate tyres, which will last us all the way till the end of the race. But we need a good pit stop from the Renault crew. So what time is it going to be by the Renault team? 2.3 seconds. A really, really quick pit stop there from those guys. And that is going to put me back out of the pits in P9. So still in the points at the moment. So that's a fantastic job there from the Renault crew, staying in P9 and getting actually quite a nice gap ahead of myself. So that means that I have got free air ahead of myself to push in some really good laps and try and catch up to those guys ahead of me, which hopefully we can do amongst the next couple of laps. We now have a look at a replay here of what's happened to Sergio Perez. So what went on here? Sergio Perez currently running in P5, going down in towards the hairpin. So what exactly happened to Sergio? Under braking, clips the apex perfectly, but locks up his front right, and for some reason the rear tyres are still spinning. He's on the accelerator and on the brakes at the same time. That's what it sounded like, and he's actually damaged his front wing from going into the wall there. So that could be crucial in today's race as the driver comes into the pits. It's Max Verstappen once again, so that moves me back up into P8. So I run a little bit deep there in towards turn 1. Of course, I am on fresh set of tyres, so maybe they're not quite up to temperature as I would have liked, and now we have gained right on the back of Sergio Perez, who of course does have those front wing issues. He has downforce problems in today's race. That's really going to affect him in towards the next section of corners. Not too much on the straights, but definitely through the fast left then right. And here we go on Sergio Perez through the left right. Wow, what a move that was, up the inside through that corner. It takes a lot of bravery to make a move up the inside through there. Of course, you are pretty much on full throttle, having to lift off a little bit, especially going side by side with another driver, but nevertheless getting the job done and moving up into that position. And now with only 2 laps left to go, we are following right behind the Toro Rosso driver of Danny Kvyat. Can we get the job done on this driver and move up another position in today's race? This will be, I think, the battle for P6 in today's race. We got past Sergio Perez for P7. So the battle for P6 between myself and Danny Kvyat down the start, finish straight all the way down in towards turn 1. Moving over on the right hand side. Very late maneuver from myself. We got the job done before we've even got to braking, but very late on the brakes there from Danny Kvyat to come back at us. A little bit of a tyre bump between the two of us. Was not expecting Danny Kvyat to do that. And now we're possibly going to go for the switchback maneuver, but just forced out all the way to the edge of the circuit there by Danny Kvyat. So very good defending from the Russian driver. Now we've got to go again. We've got to build up that momentum and try and go for an overtake later on in today's race. We cut ahead now to, I think the leaders are doing the final lap of today's race. We've still got about a lap and a half, a lap and a quarter left to go of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which means there is still time for myself to get past Danny Kvyat in today's race. But we need to get the job done very, very soon, because we're not going to have many opportunities. It's only really this start-finish train, possibly down in towards turn 3. Those are going to be our opportunities to get the job done on Danny Kvyat. Here we are following in the slipstream once again, this time taking the inside line on the left-hand side all the way down in towards turn 1. Surely this time Danny Kvyat cannot brake later than us down towards the corner. No, he doesn't. And there we go, holding on to P6. One lap, though, left to go in today's race. So Danny Kvyat will get that slipstream on us all the way down towards the line. But this lap is all about building a gap. We need to be very quick through the next section of corners to make sure we stay ahead of the Toro Rosso driver. We can see Carlos Sainz just a little bit ahead of us in the distance. I don't believe I'm going to be getting P5 here today, so I run a little bit wide there through turn 3. That's not what we need to do, because that's allowing Danny Kvyat to come back at us and possibly have a chance of going for the overtake right at the end of the race. We need to make sure that we do not do that across the rest of this race. We go down in towards this left-hander once again, running it very deep through that corner. That allows Danny Kvyat just to have a little look against ourselves, but slamming the doors shut on him through the chicane, and he is unable to go for the overtake. Now down towards the hairpin, need to brake early and make sure we get through the corner nice and tidy, which we do. But it is Lewis Hamilton who wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. A fantastic result there from the Mercedes driver. He gets the job done and he wins today's race. He's going to be very, very happy with the race win, leading from start to finish here today. And what a fantastic result that is for Lewis Hamilton. But our race is not over yet, as Kimi Räikkönen crosses the line for P2. Down towards Sector 3 now. Sebastian Vettel rounds out the podium for today's race. Very close to the tyres there. I think we might have even damaged our front wing just a little bit as we touched the tyre barrier on the right-hand side. Now in towards this final Sector 3. It is pretty much flat out all the way through here, and it looks like we've actually lost the back of Danny Kvyat. So Danny Kvyat unable to stay with us through that section of corners, and it looks like we are going to hold on to P6 at the end of the day. But the battle between Max Verstappen and Danny Kvyat winds on, but we're weaving the wheel in celebration. What a fantastic comeback it has been. P20 to P6. What an amazing result of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. P20 all the way to P6. What an incredible result that is at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We made some fantastic overtakes here today, and we got the job done. We needed to make as many overtakes as we possibly could within those first 10 laps, and we did just that. But going through the final order for today's race, Lewis Hamilton wins here today with Kimi Räikkönen second. Then it is the championship leader of Sebastian Vettel who rounds out the podium in P3. Valtteri Bottas could not hold on to his second place grid slot as he finishes in P4. With Carlos Sainz moving up into P5. Great result there for the Toro Rosso driver. Myself moving up from P20 all the way into P6. Daniel Ricciardo also following me, and he actually overtook Danny Kvyat right at the line on that final lap. So great result there for Daniel Ricciardo to come back from P17 to finish in P7. Danny Kvyat unfortunately losing out on the line there, finishes in P8 with Max Verstappen in 9th. And it's Lance Stroll who rounds out the top 10 and gets the final championship point here today. Unfortunately, my teammate Nico Hülkenberg unable to score points here today as he finishes in P11 with Pascal Wehrlein in 12th and Romain Grosjean in P13. Looking further down the field then, Fernando Alonso, he finishes in P14 with Stoffel Van Dorn in 15th. Then it's Felipe Massa 16th, with Kevin Magnussen in 17th, with Sergio Perez 18th, and Marcus Ericsson, the final driver of our drivers to finish, finishes in P19. And there is Esteban Ocon, the only driver to not finish here today, right at the back of the field. So, Drivers' Championship then, after 8 rounds of Season 2. And unfortunately, we have moved down to P4 after being P2 going into today's race in the drivers' standings. But we're now level on points with Valtteri Bottas, not too far away from Lewis Hamilton, although the goal is really just to stay ahead of the Red Bull drivers. If we can do that at the end of the season, then that will be an amazing season for ourselves. But at the moment, we are really enjoying battling with the likes of the Mercedes and the Ferraris in the Drivers' Championship. Now, finally, taking a look at the Constructors' Championship, Renault still holding on to that P4, and the gap is still exactly 20 points to Red Bull Racing. So despite getting the better result than both Red Bull drivers, the points that those two got today manages to keep the gap level between the two of us. Unfortunately, not able to catch up to the Red Bull team, but there is still a long way left to go in this season. 20 races, so 12 races left to go in this season, so there is still every opportunity to catch up to the Red Bull team. But that is it for today's Azerbaijan Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to smash a like on the video, and of course, if you are new around here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. For daily Formula 1 content, we've got F1 2017 career mode, rags to riches free, and of course a whole load of F1 content on this channel as well. And as always, don't forget to leave your comments in the section below, and I pretty much reply to about 98% of comments. So if you do leave a comment down below, there is a very high chance I will reply to your comments. But I will see you next time for round 9 of Season 2. It is, of course, the Austrian Grand Prix. But until then, it's goodbye from me.